We talk about how much space something flat kind of takes up. And the way we do that in math is we cut it into squares. Okay. For example, if you're trying to tell somebody, if you look in the paper, if you're looking to buy a house, okay, and you want to know how big the house is without looking at it, the dimensions of the house are always given in, does anybody know? A house, the size of a house is always given in, Kelsey?
Feet.
Not feet, but,
Yard.
not yards, but, Jacob?
Square feet.
Square feet. Okay, in other words, if you look in a paper, you'll see a house that maybe is, I don't know, let's just say it is 2,400 square feet. By the way, when you talk about square feet, you can either write it as square feet or you can take feet and put that little 2 up there. That means square feet. What that means, children, is this, that in the house, okay, a square foot is a square that is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. It's a foot off. If you look down at the floor, you'll see it's made up of tiles. Each one of those tiles is a square foot. So that's how big a square foot is. Okay, so when they're telling you that your house or whatever house is 2,400 square feet, okay, that's just the way we measure it, and there would be 2,400 of those in a house. And it's a little hard for us to figure out the square footage that way. But if I asked you, let me ask you this question. If I asked you how many square feet you think my room is, how many square feet is this classroom? How many square feet would this classroom be? If you're taking a wild, crazy guess there, Smith is trying to count them, what would you say? Let's not count, let's just give me a guess.
110.
Smith says 110. Sammy?
I say 900.
Sammy says 900.
No.
Michael?
96.
96. Jacob?
250.
250. Peter?
3,000.
3,000 square feet. So I was pretty close on my house thing at 2,400 square feet. So you're thinking my room is bigger than most people's houses. Wow, maybe you touch on the high side on that one there. Kayla? 80. The actual very close guess there somebody had was Sammy said it was 900, and that is pretty much true. And the reason we know that,
I said it.
the reason we know that is virtually, if you took away that closet back there, my room is a square. Okay, and if you were to go and count the number of tiles from this wall to that wall, you would get 30. I guess I need to draw a bigger square. Let me draw a bigger square. Okay, you would get 30. Well, I should just do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Right. And if you would count from this wall to that wall, how many? There's 30 that way as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Okay. And if I drew all of these lines all the way down through my thing, and all of these lines this way, and you counted all of those tiles, okay, there are 30 rows of 30. Starting right here, there's a row of 30 going that way. Second row, a third row of 30, a fourth row of 30, a fifth row, a sixth row, a seventh row, an eighth row, a ninth row. Here's the 10th row of 30, and so on and so on. There are 30 rows of 30. 30 by 30. And rather than counting each and every block in math, to find the area of something, especially with squares and with rectangles, you just do what, Peter?
Multiply them.
Well, we multiply the length times the width. The two sides that touch each other, 30 times 30 is, there would be 900 feet square, 900. Now that whole indentation there does take away a bunch. It probably takes away, gosh, it looks like a 3 by 12. Probably takes away 36 or maybe 40 square feet. There are, but that, if I asked, you wouldn't count that as my room per se. I mean, you don't count closets as your room.
I do. I don't.
You can do what you want, I guess.
Inside.
So, when you are given shapes, here are the things you need to remember. If this thing is 6 centimeters by 8 centimeters, and the book asks you for the area, on your homework you need to remember these simple little facts. First of all, you need to draw this picture on your paper. Okay. Secondly, you need to write the formula down. Always get in the habit of doing that. The formula I just gave you was that area equals length times width. Which, by the way, in math, what's the difference between length and width? You'll get the same answer no matter which one you call which one, but in math we do have a special name. We do separate length and width. What's the difference? Gary?
With the smaller, like.
The width is the shorter dimension. The length is the longer one. Okay, so first you're going to draw it on your paper. Secondly, you're going to write the formula. Then you're going to fill in the blanks. Area equals the length, which is 8, times the width, which is 6. Okay, you get 48. But if you're talking area, you must label correctly. Because 48 is not the same thing as 48 square centimeters. You're talking about square centimeters when you talk about area. Area is always labeled in square somethings. And again, remember, those squares can change. If you think about this, a square centimeter is just a centimeter by a centimeter by a centimeter. That's 1 centimeter squared. A square inch is a little bigger because an inch is bigger than a centimeter. That's about 1 inch squared. A square foot gets pretty big because it's a foot by a foot by a foot. A square yard would have to be 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. But it gets bigger than that because if you're talking about how big the state of Illinois is, that goes by a square mile.
Is that really like
Well, it would be, if you know anything about this here, if you came to the corner here of Route 47 and Ament, drove all the way down to the next road, which is a manual. That's a little short of a mile, but it's close. And then went from a manual all the way down to Walker Road, and Walker Road all the way down to 47. The land that's inside of that would be 1 square mile. It's a pretty, it's a lot. It's a lot of land there. Peter?
About the length times the width thing, wouldn't it, when it's a square, wouldn't none be shorter?
Well, technically, since Peter mentioned this, the area of a square, we don't really write length times width. When you see the area of a square in a math book, they will say it is side times side. Or they'll say area equals side squared. This is the area of a square. So technically you don't use the length times the width thing, but it works. It's the same kind of thing here. Jacob?
What's length times width times height?
That's about it. That's how many cubes something would have.
So,
And we'll get to that shortly there. Now here's another thing that they're going to do. They're going to say something to you like this. The area of a square is 36 inches squared. How long is a side? And the first thing you're gonna do, Christine, is
Find the
first thing you're gonna do is Michael, draw the square on your paper so you know what you're looking at. And then because we use the word square, we just talked about it, what do we know about a square? A square has equal sides. So area of a square is side times side. Do I know how long the sides are? I don't, but I do know the area was 36. So you'd have to ask yourself, because the sides have to be the same, what same number times itself would have to be to give you a 36, Calvin? Right, so each side has to equal 6 inches or whatever that thing is there. So make sure you pay special attention when they say square. They might do something like that. They won't give you the sides, they'll give you the area, and you have to figure out what the rest is. Now they couldn't do that with a rectangle. Why? Why would you not be able to give an answer if a rectangle's area is 36? If a rectangle's area equals 36 inches squared, why could you not really give that answer, Sammy?
Because not all of the rectangle sides are equal.
Right? And you would have a bunch of different choices, right? You could have a rectangle that is 4 by 9, because that multiplied would give you 36. You could have a rectangle that is 3 times 12, because that gives you 36. You could have a rectangle that is 1 times 1 by 36, because that would give you 36. Another one you could have would be what? 2 by what?
18.
2 by 18 would give you 36. Are there any other ones?
Yes.
Well, 6 by 6 would give you a square, so that's not really a rectangle.
What about times
Although all squares are rectangles, because all rectangles have to have a 4 right angles.
maybe times 1, 2.
For tomorrow. We gotta get rolling again. Set number 31, children. Remember, on Monday,